Good morning, guys. What's going on? My name is Bill. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we are tearing back into the F350. I got started on it last night. Got impatient. Started working on it. I forgot to start filming, but realized I had a bad ball joint. So been tearing into it. I just got down, got the wheel off, got the brake calipers off, tie rod ends and everything. So down to where it's about to pull the hub off, and that snap ring in there is pretty deep down in there, and snap ring pliers I had would not reach. They were the adjusting kind, so I had a big joint right there where it would hit and it would not reach in there. So had to wait until Harbor Freight opened up this morning and got a set of snap ring pliers that will hopefully get the job done. Yeah, we got some problems in here. Obviously that ball joint's bad, but this seal is completely, I mean, it's not even in there. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'll go ahead, once I get it out, show you how bad that U-joint is as well. So whole thing is pretty well shot. Hopefully these snap ring pliers, I couldn't find just one long one, so I ended up having to buy this whole set. I mean, it seems like a pretty decent set. Guess we will see. There we go. There we go. Got the snap ring out of there. All we should have to do now to get this hub off is disconnect the, remove the, pull the sensor off here. And then there's 4 bolts or 4 nuts in the back. They're actually studs, so they might come out as just a nut, or it might come, the whole stud might come out, depending on which part's seized up the most or not. Alright, well, I took the whole cable off and just put the screws back in where they were holding these clamps in along the way. Since I'm going to be replacing the whole hub, I need to replace that anyway. And now, first bolt came off pretty easy off the back of here. And almost everything is 21 millimeters so far, so those 2 bolts came off without much fuss. Same thing, these 2 bolts. Got the 4 nuts off the back of there. Like I said, there's 21 millimeter like most of the things. Got the snap ring out of there, and this should just pull off now, but it's mechanically bonded on there, so I need to get the persuader out. Now, obviously you probably don't want to do that if you're trying to keep the hub, but as bad shape as everything else is in here, I'm gonna go ahead and replace the hub while I'm at it. After a whole lot of pounding, whole bunch of liquid wrench and a whole bunch of banging on this, go ahead. I did unfortunately hit the shield a couple of times, which is a little heartbreaking because this is in really good shape, all things considered, especially how old this is. And then had no dents in it until I marred it, so I'll see if I could bend that back into shape a bit. But now we got to pull tap this from the back side, break this seal loose, and then that should allow the full axle just to pull straight out now. There we go. This axle should be clean. It is not anywhere close to being clean. This seal is supposed to go back there, keep anything from getting in the axle tube. And like I said, this, now you can really get a good look at this U-joint. This, how shot that is. The reason I started all this was because of this ball joint. So, and get this cotter key off here, break these two bolts loose, pull the knuckle off, then we could try pressing out those, get this all cleaned up, get everything cleaned up a bit. May see about putting things back together. That castle came off. Found a 1 1/8 that fit on that. The top one, this lower one, seems a 33 fits it. So we'll give that a shot. Worked up too, I could tell. Or maybe not. That one actually came off nice and easy. I'm going to leave a couple threads on there so I can bang on this and hopefully get that to drop. Normally I wouldn't hit on the threads, but since I'm changing that ball joint out, and just sit here, I'm gonna have to sit here and bang on this for a while until it eventually drops out. Alright, well, I've got the caster ring out of the top, so the top is completely broken free. Just need to get this bottom one broken out, but let's see how loose that bottom one is. And I was planning on replacing the upper one while I had everything out, but that's a good thing because now realizing just how that shouldn't be, I shouldn't be able to move that so much. So yeah, that upper one is pretty shot as well. So, and keep banging. There, we got everything out. Let me see just how bad this top one is going bad. And this bottom one is just completely shot. But in order to get it out, we got a snap ring here. Then it's got to get pushed out that way. Well, that didn't work. I just pushed this into try this. That's not quite long enough. That's no longer wide enough. Well, maybe we can just knock that through. Alright, so ideally you'd need a little bit longer one of these to make it work. It got it about halfway through though with that, and then I was just able to hammer it the rest of the way in. So now we got the bottom one out, we can press this top one out. Just double checking that there's no clamp or C-clamp or anything on this one, which there isn't. But yeah, you can see why you gotta take the bottom one out first. Otherwise you never get your tool in for the top one. So let's see if that will do the trick. Alright, so both ball joints are out. Now we just got to worry about getting them pressed in. For that, I'm going to get this cleaned up. But yeah, I'm really surprised about this impact. I thought for sure that was going to be my weak spot on this, and that would give out putting any effort in before these gave way, but it held up and it pushed it through, so I'm impressed. But yeah, I'm gonna get this out of the way. I'm gonna start working on these U-joints, getting those out of the way, and then we can get everything cleaned up and start putting stuff back together. So it's just a Rust-Oleum undercoating. It's a rust inhibitor and coating. It goes on kind of brownish, but once it dries, it turns black, kind of a flat black. So just going to let that soak and dry. All right, so in order to put these back in, we're going to have to go the opposite direction. Which means we're going to have to put the bottom one in first so we could reach through here to get the clamp in. The part, the bottom is, this is the AutoZone part, GFA 8607 for the lower ball joint. And the new one came, it's got new bolt for it, Zerk fitting so you can oil it, new snap ring, and then a ring for installing it. So I'm going to make sure this is all cleaned out. So this is going to go in like so. Got this installation ring so it'll actually go over top this here. And I actually had to go get an adapter kit for this. Okay, so finally got this pressed in. It took much longer than I'm willing to admit. It took quite a combination of these different sleeves to be able to manage to get everything on. I actually had to use this little sleeve that's supposed to go on this side to protect the bearing as you're pressing it in. I actually had to use that on this side to give me a spacer to push this through far enough to where I could finally get this piece on there and it would fit to get everything pushed through. But after quite a bit of fighting with this, finally got it on. They put up a fight, but we eventually got it. Pull that camber shim out for right now. There, we got the bottom bolt started down there, so now that's holding everything in place. I can throw that shim on there. Alright, so what I found is the bottom is supposed to torque this to 44 foot-pounds, then torque the top to 69, and then go over however much needed from 69 to make sure the cotter key lines up, then to go back down and retorque this to 150. So I'll get started tightening this up. Alright, so there we go. We are all put together. Had a rough go of it there with these ball joints. I wasn't sure if I was going to even make it there for a while with them, but finally got them all in. Got everything torqued down, ready to go. The day's about over here now. I'm gonna clean up my mess, and then tomorrow we should have the axle and be able to finish everything up. We've got a new axle in with the new beefed up U-joint, the new vacuum seal, which is nice and lubed, not stuck like this one. And we also have the axle shaft. Let's see what it's called. That'll tell us on here. Axle shaft seal cartridge seal. Yeah, basically it's a new design. Well, not new anymore, but it was compared to the original. So we gotta tap that in. This is gonna go right in here. I should have put this in before. Put this knuckle back on there, but a little late for that. Now we got this bad boy. This is pretty heavy duty tool here. I'm supposed to use this ring. Put that ring on there, so we're protecting the seal. Grab that and pound it in. I need a heavier hammer. I've realized my persuasion tool isn't too persuasive. Just gotta drive that all the way back. I have it's a regular hammer like that, and a 2-pound mallet, and then I have the this hammer. I need to get one somewhere in between. Not quite this big, but a bit heavier than one of those. And now we should be able to get our hub on there. Now the new hub did come with new studs, but it did not come with new bolts. So I have to reuse the old bolts, which are threading on there, no problem. Just go ahead, slide right in. Once you have a wheel hub that turns, we have an axle that turns, a U-joint that's not falling apart, and some ball joints that are working. So now we just gotta get around the back of here, get our bolts started, and we're right at the gasket there for the hub going in. So I might actually even pull that out, put a little bit of grease on there just to make sure we don't damage that O-ring as we're tightening and pushing that hub all the way in. So I can grease that O-ring up a little bit with some of this extra grease I have, just so make sure that slides in there without binding up. And then these were 21 millimeters. I gotta look up what the torque was, but I'll do these kind of in a cross pattern just to, as that's pulling that in. Why didn't you guys stop me before I did this? It's all your fault. I blame you all. No. But did kind of forget one thing, which is the dust shield that was on here. So yeah, I pull this back off, put the dust shield back in between, and then put that back on. Before I put the rotor on, I'm going to go ahead and hook up the steering links here. So, when I was taking it off, the sway bar was in the way to be able to actually pull this all the way out. So that's why I disconnected the sway bar link here. And now I just got the frame jacked up a little bit higher than that, so I have room to actually fit that in there. Really, I should be replacing these joints too, but I'll leave that for when I do the suspension upgrades. Right now, I'm just trying to get things in there. Get this sway bar link in. Actually, lower it down and that should line up. Alright, now let me look up these torques. Actually, I got to torque the bottom here too because I had loosened that up originally trying to pull it out that way. But then realized it was easier just to disconnect it up here. So, got to torque the bottom down, the top of the end link, and steering, whatever the hell it's called, cross member, and then we can put the rotor on. Alright, so we are all back together. Alright, now we got some open road. I don't know how well you could hear. This truck is pretty darn noisy. We're going to see what we could do about making this cab a little quieter. But, I mean, aside from the alignment being way off on this thing, I think we're looking pretty good. Let's get on. This far along in the video and you've seen my other videos, you may realize that some other stuff has happened to this truck as well, and under the hood, not just that wheel bearing, but some stuff under the hood, to where it is running so much better. I'll do a follow-up video here, kind of go over everything that's been done under the hood, what all got done, what I had to go have a shop do for me, and it's night and day. I'm loving it. This thing is a beast now, so and it's just getting started. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.